Hey guys, it's me, John. I don't make a lot of videos on here, and while I'm here, I might as well plug my channel, Clown Car, where I talk about professional gaming as well as other topics. I'll be uploading this video to the other channel at a later date and time, but for right now, let's talk about my favorite hero, the Black Panther. See, you may not know this, but I'm white. I'm 23. But I've loved Black Panther since I was 9 years old. In fact, I didn't know who he was when I first saw him. I picked up a small comic, how to draw comic heroes. And I loved costumes at that point, and I loved Black Panther's costume, and I didn't know who he was. Then I picked up a local comic book. That and Swamp Thing were my first comic books. So I picked it up, I took a look, and I loved it. The story is about T'Challa, who takes up the king's mantle as well as the mantle of the Black Panther, the defender of Wakanda, an isolated African nation more towards Central Africa. It's a civilization that's not only isolated but so advanced in technology because alien alloy known as vibranium fell to Earth from the Shatari, or depending on the canon, from another alien race, where they take the vibranium, mold it, melt it, and the Black Panther is defender of that kingdom to keep it isolated because these people fear foreign intervention. They have had bad experiences with colonialism. It's a really interesting story that takes place with an interesting set of heroes, and Black Panther always takes up his mantle and works alongside Avengers, X-Men, even marries an X-Men. He's quite an amazing character, and I've grown to love him since I was 9. He's been my favorite superhero since I was 9. And I thought with the movie coming out, people are going to say stupid things about the Black Panther, his character, and anything involved in his storyline. So I thought I would preemptively correct everybody by talking about it a bit. So I gave you the quick origin story, but again, the Black Panther's name is T'Challa, at least the modern incarnation. The previous incarnation, which actually fought Captain America during a bit of a misunderstanding when he was hunting the Nazis in Africa, he discovered that T'Challa's father, had already destroyed the Nazi invaders and put their heads on a pike, as in the Reginald Hudlin series. Now, each set of writers goes through Black Panther and does their own thing. Some add more flavor, some add different themes, but the kind of story that always comes out has always fascinated me and always makes me really happy. It's more, Black Panther, unlike most heroes, is more utilitarian, and on top of that, he takes no qualms in killing others, mostly because that's the way he defends his land. He doesn't let spies come in, he doesn't let people talk, he genuinely does not like the idea of invaders coming into their country and being alive. Now, on top of that, there's been a lot of themes of racism, overtures of eras of the past, ideas, anti-colonialism. It has a lot of critiques of modern politics and even of Black Panther society itself, the idea of isolationism, pro-globalism. It's even had anti-globalism. Heck, it's had pretty much every political view under the sun, because with a kingdom that's a monarchy, you can mold and shape the kind of critique of each kind of culture, because monarchy is kind of unique in that way because it has kind of a hierarchical structure and allows people to change it up as they deem fit. So that's been an interesting point in Black Panther's history. His first comic appearance was in the Fantastic Four, right? Interesting, a very, very good. And his continued association with them has gone long on. He's been part of the Fantastic Four. Even when he married Storm, he hit on Susan Storm. They were in love with each other for a little while. And this has always been a character that people have been always able to write however they want, because he's a character that has the same kind of qualities, a king, but they're not afraid, a king, a warrior, a powerful person, but they're not afraid to show his bad side, like prideful, in some cases a bad husband, and other cases, a great husband, but mourning, careful, fight for people who don't have energy. It's been a long road for the Black Panther, and even when his conception started, it started about the same time as the actual Black Panther movement began, and hilariously, people will not know this, they had no connection whatsoever. They actually kind of started around the same time. In fact, there is speculation that the Black Panther Party based their name on the comic hero, right? He's always been a symbol of black culture, African culture, definitely a political allegory. It has been a way for Marvel Comics to talk about black issues during the civil rights movement without inherently talking about them, you see. They always look for clever ways to do that because there was boycott during Jim Crow era. They had a lot of issues dealing with that. So they used X-Men, Black Panther, Fantastic Four to talk about these different issues. During that time, also, as it grew up, the Black Panther evolved. They handed it off to different famous writers. Reginald Hudlin, who is the president of BET Network, he actually added BET in a couple of comics, which is kind of cringy, but I can understand why. He's been an executive producer, if you don't know Reginald Hudlin, of Django Unchained, as well as The Boondocks. I know, it's pretty cool because he definitely has that aspect. You also have Ta-Nehisi Coates, an Atlantic writer who was made famous by writing amazing books, essays, and his version of Black Panther has won multiple acclaims in an excellent way. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has also developed their version of Black Panther, which is amazing as well. I mean, all versions, in my opinion, are equally amazing because they always share the common traits. The king, the warrior, the person that helps others in need, and the utilitarian. On top of that, he does have powers, so let's talk about those real fast. He has his vibranium suit, which, if you don't know from the Captain America Civil War movie, is made out of an alloy that kind of vibrates against incoming impact forces and can repel kind of bullets, attacks, and basically it's there as almost an armor, and it's really amazing because it can stand up to that. Some versions don't have vibranium armor necessarily, but most versions it is sort of an armor. It's not really, it's made of more of a cloth fabric than armor. But there is actual armor itself, the holy armor, ceremonial armor, both of which are astoundingly amazing. But in any case, on top of that, he also has higher than average strength, speed. His senses are amazingly heightened due to the power of the Panther, which is almost a supernatural force. In fact, some say he might actually have a lot more powers than, most regular people dressed up in costumes. He does have the Panther Force as well. He has his vibranium daggers, swords, his technology, the fact that his senses are heightened. These are his kind of powers that are universally shown throughout all of Marvel as a whole. And so those are his powers, and we talked about the political aspect. We talked about the writers, the different ways he's portrayed, So let's talk shop for a second, right? A couple of anecdotal evidence. Not anecdotal evidence, more of anecdotes that you should appreciate. So for those of you who don't know, like I said, he's been my favorite hero since I was 9. I'm 23. That's a solid 14, almost 15 years, right? Right. So as I was saying, I love this hero, and I've been excited for this movie for a long time. In fact, it'd been rumored since I was 12 that this movie was coming out. I've been excited ever since. I've been waiting for this movie for a long time. I've been waiting for him to show up in more video games. The fact that he's in the new Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, makes me so happy. I bought Marvel Ultimate Alliance. He was in there. I love that. Pretty much any game Marvel has that Black Panther is in, I try to get it immediately. So he is my favorite hero, like I said. So Ultimate Alliance I got for Ultimate Alliance 2 came out. I wanted that, and I heard he was in there, but the DLC was pulled, I think, after a couple weeks. And I had not realized that. And you know what I did? Every single day I woke up, checked the store, checked to see if he was there. He wasn't there, so I left. I continued to do that for, I think, about 6 months before I finally sold the game because I was so disappointed they never got the licensing rights back. Of course, that changed when Steam came out, but that's a later story. But in any case, I bought Marvel Ultimate Alliance continuously to support Black Panther is in there. I bought his comic books. Even in college, during our comic book club, I would argue Black Panther against pretty much any superhero because I thought he could go against anyone, and he can. His Panther Force is amazing. His armor, his skill set, basically the way you become a king in that way. And Black Panther is you challenge the current Black Panther and you take the mantle, and you challenge other contenders to take that mantle. It's an amazing process, and I really, really do like it. It is a hierarchical structure, so it is possible, in fact, for parents and children to inherit their abilities from their parents as well as their fighting skills. But it is also possible that this society is also a meritocracy. So again, I went into all the aspects of Black Panther, why I loved him, why he's been my favorite hero for so long. I keep gushing on this about forever and ever. But the main reason I also put this up is because I know something's coming. As with anything these days, anything anyone touches, there's bound to be people that are going to insult the movie, insult the franchise, insult the hero, something which I cannot see idly by. You can sit here and say this whole thing is nerd rage, because it is nerd rage. So I'm going to go ahead and preempt a couple of big issues because this culture war has been raging on like a maniac. There's going to be some people after some race swaps with Marvel, after some other stuff that say, why can't the Panther be white? Because I have seen that before. Why can't it be the White Panther? Well, in fact, there actually is a White Panther, but it's not really a White Panther. I think it's White Tiger. But they have nothing to do with actual whiteness, right? So there's actually been a lot of controversy regarding that because people are like, well, why can't he be white? Well, he can't. He just can't be white. I know it sounds bad and you hate the idea that your race is owed this, but he's been an integral part of Black identity for a long time, and he should stay that way because that is part of his character. That is where his critiques come in. That's where, and people say, well, racism is still alive in parts and issues, and I'm not going to get into that whole issue right now, whether it's systematic or isolated incidents as a whole. Regardless, he criticizes both small instances and big instances. So you can't sit here and say, well, why can't he be white and talk about other issues? Well, why don't you make another hero for that? Or use Captain America or another hero to talk about that. This is his identity. This is the way he's been written as a strong black male. In fact, his sister became the Black Panther for a while, a strong black female character. It's been consistently the way it's been written, and it should stay that way. And then we get into another criticism, which I had to get into, where someone said, this is what Africa would look like if white people had stayed out. Of course, that's also a really bad problem because they have an alien alloy. They mine it, they craft it into their own weapons, and that already gives them an advantage. And that's a really dumb way to think about things. Like, there's a lot of criticisms to be had about anti-colonialism, but I don't think that's one of them, just because it's a really bad example. I would stray away from that. Another thing, too, we should get into. Give me a second. Another criticism you're going to hear is that this is just a move to appease leftists or SJWs by making this character or developing this character. But by the way, this character has already been around and alive for a long time. 1950s, buddy. Get on the train. You see, part of this issue is that people just want an idea to be mad about something, so they find the Black Panther and they're like, oh, look, identity politics, blah, 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 blah. Well, the problem is, you're wrong. And these And I gave you the reasons why. He was developed a lot earlier than most heroes, so you can't really complain about that. And was his development necessary? In my opinion, yes. Because the way the Marvel plotline goes, it's almost entirely necessary. The fact that Vibranium plays such a key role in not only the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, but the Marvel Universe in a whole. It's such an integral part. Captain America, S.H.I.E.L.D., you're talking about weapons made of vibranium, aliens made of vibranium. You're talking like villains like Ultron was made of vibranium. These characters vibranium would not exist without Wakanda. They're so tied together, the Black Panther is impossible to be without in a story without him. And I thought there was a really good way. And of course, Captain America Civil War did a really good job when it realized that its vibranium weapons were being stolen. Wakanda tried to get into the forefront to try and amend any wrongdoings they had done. An interesting point that paralleled with Tony Stark, and it actually was really smart way to introduce Black Panther and Wakandans to the universe. And of course, you're going to have the Black Panther movie, which will come out. We'll be so excited for. So a couple of things before I go, a couple of more fun details about Black Panther, then we'll call it a video, right? So finally we reached the end, and I get to recommend to you some Black Panther stuff. So first, let's talk comics. If you want a really good idea of comics to go for, always go for when the Black Panther takes over the Devil in Hell's Kitchen. Amazing series. Go do it. Go read it. It is absolutely amazing. You should, when he takes over for Daredevil, he fights the Hand, he fights all these villains, he protects Hell's Kitchen. Amazing story arc. Amazing story arc. Reginald Hudlin's series, obviously, is amazing artwork and pretty much intertwines with the Civil War saga. Ta-Nehisi Coates' stories are amazing. They are powerful, well-read, envisioned a different kind of Wakanda and a different kind of Black Panther. Amazing stories. Amazing stories. Finally, I'd just like to say a couple things before we leave here. I would like to thank the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Disney for bringing Black Panther to life. Finally, something I never thought I would see in my lifetime. In fact, when I picked up a Lego Black Panther figurine, I actually cried because it was the first time they actually had Black Panther action figures in stores, and they had Black Panther stuff, and I saw a Black Panther Halloween costume, and I got a little teary-eyed because I never had that growing up. I had to order these expensive stuff. I had to go. I was the guy who came into the comic store asking for Black Panther, and they said, "Oh, you're the guy. Okay, well, it's in that small little section in the middle of the shelves, and there'll only be a couple of issues, so I would have to go out and order stuff." And you know, as a fan of Black Panther, it's been rough because no one really wanted to read him. No one really cared until Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I've been very proud of that because the second that happened, they brought him more into the forefront. They released Steam stuff, and Activision put Black Panther back in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. He was in Marvel Lego Superheroes, Lego Marvel Avengers. He's been in the new Marvel vs. Capcom. He's been all these stuff, and I just want to thank, MCU for doing that for me because, I love it. I want to thank Ryan Coogler because he's an amazing director, and they actually got a good director to direct the Black Panther movie, and I am so excited. Chadwick Boseman for an amazing performance as the Black Panther. I could not have asked for better. I've been unbelievably happy with your performance, and it was just an honor, complete honor to watch you perform, and I cannot wait to see you opening weekend for the Black Panther. And just empathize for me for a second. Imagine that you had a hobby, a thing you liked very much, and you never got to see it in theaters. You liked it, but it never came out. You had this one series of anime specifically. A good example might be Firefly. When it first came out, you were a really big fan. Then they stopped producing stuff. You're very unhappy. It was very hard to find stuff. Then the fandom took off, and you got more stuff. And this is how I feel. For a long time, if I want to talk about it, 11. 11 years. About the only good thing to come out to be a Black Panther fan was Reginald Hudlin's series and Marvel Ultimate Alliance. 1, because 2, they cut him at the last minute, a couple of weeks afterwards. So it's been an emotional ride, and I'm really happy to do it. And I know it sounds sappy and shit, but get over it. The Black Panther has been my favorite superhero, and for 14, almost 15 years, and I'm so excited to see you in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'm so excited to see you in the movie, and I just want to take this moment to say thank you to everyone that made that possible, and all the detractors out there. I hope this answers some questions. If you have more, please write to me. My channel is called Clown Car. I'll link it in the description, and I'll upload this to that channel too. Thank you very much, and you guys are awesome. Bye.
Maybe this twist would have worked if the second trap wasn't so fucking